Hey, welcome back, Vol fans. It's Kentucky week, and Bob, really every week this seems like it going down this stretch is going to be really playoff week.
Yes.
It's one game playoffs. It seems like you got to go by style points. You got to get that W first and foremost, right? And don't anybody looking at my shirt, it might be kind of bluish, and maybe yours is grayish or something. Uh,
Yes.
but we are not supporting Kentucky in any way,
No,
Bob.
it's just
So
by chance.
let's get that out there.
Yeah.
But let's look at this Kentucky thing. What did Tennessee have to do to win? And we're going to look at some point spreads of a couple other games at the end of the episode,
Yeah.
Bob, and make a few picks. So get that mortgage out. And now I
Yeah.
wouldn't bet the baby's diapers on any of these
No.
things. That's for darn sure.
Maybe a
But
full one, maybe. But that's
yeah, because that's probably what our picks are worth.
yes.
But let's jump into it, Bob. What's the first thing that pops out here with this Kentucky week to you?
Well, okay. First of all, is it which Kentucky team do you get? Do you get the Kentucky that should have beat Georgia, did beat Ole Miss,
September, Kentucky.
right? Or the Kentucky that's played the last 2 weeks?
October, Kentucky.
Yes. If we get that Kentucky, which you would think that's who we get, I feel pretty dang good about it. I mean, uh, you gotta, they've always had a good defense, usually.
Normally.
I mean, this year, the first part of the year was pretty good. It is kind of like uh, fell off.
It has.
I
It's
mean,
got some injury issues going on right now, but it almost, I don't want to, I'm afraid of jinx ourselves here, but it looks like they've kind of given up.
it kind of does. I mean, the the last 2 weeks, Tim, they gave up like 7 rushing touchdowns.
Yeah,
I mean,
5 to 1 Florida running back. He had over 100 yards and 5 touchdowns.
yeah, the other guy had like what 240
The,
yards rushing.
the Auburn running back had 278 yards rushing,
Yeah,
12 yards a pop.
yeah,
Um, Part of that, I'm sure, is due to maybe some injuries in that defensive line, the linebacker room.
yeah.
But
They're a little banged up right now.
and they are, but we'll talk about some of the early availability report is already out. But
Yeah.
seems to me like week after week after week of trying to carry that team because of the offensive struggles has finally caught up to the defense, and it looks like it might have gotten to the locker room. I'm not sure.
When I start looking at these games, Tim, one of the first things I start looking at is, okay, what's the path to a win?
Hmm.
How can Tennessee, what needs to happen for Tennessee to win? What needs to happen for Kentucky to win? And, it, it varies from week to week. You can see it being pretty close. This week, when you look at Kentucky's, it's not a high percentage things that they need to win. I mean, they don't throw the ball well.
No,
They don't run the ball well.
true.
I mean, they're averaging 3.8 yards a rush, 4.7 yards per play, which is like 113th in the country. Uh, and then you flip it over on the defensive side, Tim. Um, they're allowing 66% completion percentage, which is 120th in the country. Yards per completion, 107th. Yards per pass, 118th. So the secondary's not playing good. And they just gave up 7 rushing touchdowns the last 2 weeks.
Yeah. Uh,
So that don't sound like a team that should be able to keep this game close.
well, no, I mean, right now they're not playing well, and I'm fine with that, by the way.
Yeah,
Um, we're not playing that well on offense, but I think we're getting close to turning the corner to a degree.
yeah.
I'm not going to say we're going back to 22 offense or anything like that, but I believe we are getting close to making
I
something happen. And I
agree.
think this might be the week we do.
We showed a little something there. Plus, off week, I hope we're able to get some people ready. I mean, we really need to get some people more involved, like Mike Matthews. I mean, Squirrel's banged up. He's hurt.
If score's not 100%, probably won't be the rest of the year.
Honestly, I'm not sure how much I'll play him. I mean, I
We
like
need him for a playoff run if we,
we
maybe.
do. I like Squirrel, but I don't know if anybody pays attention to this, but Squirrel can't catch it with his feet on the ground.
Oh yeah, he does like to jump into the air.
For some reason, he likes to fall down as he catches the ball, and when you're falling down on a shoulder that's banged up, which is that Bama game, exactly what happened. That ball hit him in the hands,
He's
and
afraid of
he
hitting the
about to
ground.
fall on that bad shoulder, and he didn't catch it for that reason. I mean, and but uh, honestly, I think we need to see more Mike Matthews, which I think is the most talented wide receiver we got. Brazel, I think you need to see more of him. I think you hopefully
I don't think we see a lot of Brazel, but we don't seeing a lot of balls of Brazel.
don't that way, right? And Ethan Davis at tight end is our most talented tight end who can be a weapon in the passing game, a real threat. I don't think Kinselman and Stays are legitimate. Like, hey,
Well, they
we got
can
to worry,
catch, but
got to
they're
worry
not
about these
somebody. Yeah,
guys. I
exactly.
mean,
Yeah,
they can
100%.
catch, but a defense don't be like, hey, where's this guy at? You know what I mean?
Yeah, and Ethan can be that type of
Yeah.
tight end. Um, and we're coming off an open date. It's a great time to get some of your younger guys involved. Some of the guys that
Hmm.
because early in the season where things when you actually start playing, sometimes guys are not getting into games. They're also not being a lot of focus in practice.
Right.
So this is a good time to move some guys in.
Speaking of a guy like that, Tim, this is a game we need to see some more of Cam Sheldon. Um, Pretty much only playing Bishop and Sampson right now.
Hmm.
We're not going to go the rest of the year without one of those two guys getting banged up either in a game or for missing a game or two. We need to get a third guy some reps. Um, I love to see Sampson go off in this game and have a huge game and possibly push his numbers up for possibly a visit to New York or something.
That'd be wonderful.
But need him big picture. We need him
We need him
healthy
healthy
for that
for
playoff
for the
run,
playoff
for that
run.
national championship game.
That's right.
You know,
Well, I think this is a good time for Cam because, he started the year out banged up in several of the games that he could have got a lot of carries in.
yeah,
And then when he did come back kind of healthy, we've been in a couple of tight, close ball games where they've really relied on Dylan as the workhorse. But if we can jump on this Kentucky team, which I feel is a pretty good possibility,
yeah.
then yeah, this would be a great game to get Cam some carries in, and you might even see Peyton Lewis, who's another super talented young guy who's not got an opportunity to shine so far this year.
I want to backtrack just a hair. When we was talking about the path to victory, I think what they have to do, um, they need some short fields, turnovers,
Some turnovers.
and special teams. Marion Brown, very good
Returner.
wide receiver. That's a return guy.
Hmm.
I think he got a touchdown for him. I think last week, I believe it was. So that's a guy who needs to be very active in this game if they're going to win. I mean, they don't really feed him the ball that much, but for them to win, he needs to touch this ball 7 to 10 times a game, and then you got Key, another good wide receiver. They just don't have a quarterback to throw the ball to them. Two good wide receivers.
Yeah. Um, One of the better probably tandems in the league if they
Yeah,
had someone to throw the ball to them. And we don't even know who's going to try to throw the ball to them this week.
yeah,
Vandergriff got benched last week for the transfer Winsat, who honestly is probably a worse passer than Vandergriff, if that's possible at this
yeah,
point in the season. But he can run the ball.
yeah.
So,
I wouldn't doubt if he's the starter this week. If I was just my guess.
well, you don't expect them to be able to run the ball very effectively, and they've not thrown the ball very effectively on anyone.
Yeah,
So, what do? A lot of times you like, let's do a wildcat or a running quarterback or something to
right.
that effect. So, there's a good chance that's what we see out of Kentucky's offense this week.
You need some way of moving the sticks here and there, and I think that's what you do. I think that's how you do it. If I was him, at least I'd give it a shot. Uh, but as far as the path for Tennessee to win, just don't make turnovers.
Don't beat yourself.
Don't beat yourself. Play good special teams on coverage.
Don't extend drives with stupid penalties.
Yeah.
Don't kill your drives.
Honestly, I think as long as you don't turn the ball over and give Kentucky a short field and they don't score on special teams, I think we win just because even with some marginal offensive play. We might want to score in the first half, though. That would be good. I mean, I'm going to call it, Heifel on this one and tell him that we can do that in the first half.
Well, I'll tell you what, for whoever had to look up the stat last week, that it was 1963 since we had 3 first halves in a row that we didn't score.
Yeah.
For that person's sake, I don't want them to have to go back and look
further
4 weeks in a row. So they may have to go back another 40 years to find that.
Yeah,
so
that never happened.
Yeah, so we won't, for their sake, let's get on the board early.
And we've been
good. I think we will.
We've been so close. I really feel like the last 2 games we was on our path to scoring.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, if we scored, those games might have broke open. I mean, I really feel like they probably would have. I felt like the turnover happened and Nico kind of got in his head a little bit. It's like, oh crap, I mean. But if we can score early, score 7 points, which probably is good enough to win this ball. I mean, we start putting in backups after that first drive. We can get that 7 on that first drive.
It might be all it takes, Bob.
I mean, go ahead and pick on wood here. Nobody can.
Yeah. No, I tell you what. No, in all seriousness, if you're Tennessee, you're looking at a Kentucky defense that has been gashed by the run. So I think we might get a lot of one-on-one looks because I can't imagine them not wanting to try to stop Dillon as much as damage as Dillon has wore at people out. I think we're going to see some opportunities for Nico, Dante Thornton, and others in this passing game. We might pop an early or more than one touchdown early.
When you start looking at Kentucky, and I think part of their problems, especially on defense, when you start looking at their injury report, it is long. A lot of outs, a lot of doubtful, questionable guys. Their best pass rusher, Weaver, went out last week's game about halftime.
And he's already listed as out at the moment.
He's listed as out. And I don't really think if you're out, you don't come back from that usually.
Well, you shouldn't be. You shouldn't go from out to playing, but there's sometimes gamesmanship too.
Yeah, I think they're just a little too much banged up. I think that's part of their problem on defense, or they just may have gave up. But
their nose guard Walker, he's a little banged up too. He's going to play, and I mean he's a stud.
Yeah,
pure and simple. He's going to be a high draft pick, a superstar player, and the kind of guy that gives Cooper a lot of problems with his mass.
Yeah,
because he's just a massive man. But 2/3 of the way through the season, everybody's banged up to a degree, but I think he's feeling it.
Well, another negative, if you could say it's a negative, seems like in the SEC this year, teams coming off bye weeks not done real well. I know we didn't going into the Arkansas game. I thought we felt, and historically, through the years, bye weeks are good for you, generally speaking. I mean, it's time to.
And Heupel does well coming off buys.
A little extra preparation, a little healing up time. But we'll see how that, be interested to see how that goes.
I don't think Tennessee pulls off 2 duds coming off buys.
Yeah.
I think that the first one got the team's attention because if they had their attention the first game, right now we'd be undefeated, probably number 2 in the country, and a lock for playoffs. So they know what they cost themselves with a poor performance last time. I think they'll be ready to rock and roll.
I could see Heupel, if they can get up, let's say 14 points. I could see him opening things up because honestly, you need some style points at this point. We have a lot of doubters. I've listened to every podcast, watched every kind of sports thing I can, and Tennessee is on the fringe of the playoffs. uh, and we have a lot of doubters in our offense. If our offense starts clicking, I feel like, me and these other people will feel a lot more positive about Tennessee's chances of making the playoffs. But if we're going to make the playoffs, though, our offense has to play better than what it has to this point.
Yeah. Yeah, everybody talks about the style points that we need, which we do. But to your point, I think the biggest thing is simply um, is the offense needs to start clicking so that players on offense starts getting a little bit more confidence in themselves and what they're doing. Um, because as much as I like to impress people, uh, we need to just mentally turn the corner on offense.
Yeah,
Do the little things and gain confidence from success.
true. All right, let's jump into some games that we'd like to predict for the conference this week. As far as spreads go, you got Vandy and Auburn. Vandy catching 7 points.
Yeah, where's that at?
It's at Auburn, but I'm gonna take Vandy on that.
Yeah, I find that a little surprising. I know Auburn had the good game last week against Kentucky. I don't know how, by the way, I don't know how that game was only 2 touchdowns.
Yeah,
You get a running back that runs for 278 yards, and your quarterback completes 80% of his passes. And I think they won a turnover margin.
yes,
Uh,
yeah. That game should have been 30, 28, 30 point difference.
yeah,
Yeah,
so I get that, but I'm with you on this. I mean, I don't think Vandy's a juggernaut by any means, yes. But it surprised me they was catching 7 even at all.
I think they're better than Auburn.
Yeah,
And
I
I know
do.
it's at Auburn, but
I take them straight up, bro.
another one that it'll depend on where you get this spread out. I've seen 16.5. I have seen it 17. But I like Florida getting 17 at Georgia. I mean, Georgia's just, I mean, could they come out and just light it up? But
Oh yeah, the Georgia gets on fire. They can beat Florida by 40 points. I mean, it is what I mean. They kind of get in Florida's head too. Yeah, they got the talent, and sometimes they get in Florida's head. To be honest about it.
yeah. But now you show me the Georgia that's played the most this year against the Florida that's played the last 2 or 3 weeks, and I'm gonna tell you that's gonna be a dogfight. I mean,
I agree.
Georgia probably a 7 point win.
Hide the names at the top of the page. Look at the resume over the last couple of 3 weeks.
Yeah,
And I'm not uh, giving 17 points.
I know Georgia beat Texas, but man, they've looked iffy otherwise in a lot of games this year.
Well, you know what?
In Mississippi State.
A lot of times when you have that much talent, you play up or down to your competition.
Yeah.
And I think we've seen a lot of that out of Georgia this year.
Yeah.
Uh, so I think they could play down to Florida. So that could be a little closer than 17.
The other one I like this week is I don't normally like a lot of spreads catching points, but for some reason that's what I like this week. I like Arkansas getting 7 at Ole Miss, playing Ole Miss this week. It seems like to me that Ole Miss struggles going to, I'm sorry, it's at Fayetteville. Uh, and they're getting 7 points. I mean, I kind of like Arkansas now.
Well, you know what? I tend to kind of like Ole Miss in this game. Uh, and if it was at Ole Miss in Oxford, I would give probably 10 points.
Mm-hmm.
But being on the road, um, and road teams have struggled somewhat throughout the conference this year.
Yeah.
7 points. If it was under 7, I would take Ole Miss. And if it's over 7, and you say it's a straight 7?
Straight 7.
Straight 7? I could see that being a push.
Yeah.
But I'll probably go with you, Bob, and take Arkansas on that one.
Let's go to the Tennessee game, Tim. We're 16.5 point favorites. 45.5 is the over/under. I've done well in the past on Tennessee games on the over/under. Usually over.
That's what you normally.
Yeah,
that's
what
lately
on the unders. If Tennessee don't get things corrected on the offense, the under is gold for the first half, especially. And I kind of like the under on this still at 45.5. I think you're the opposite on this one, but
Yeah, I am the opposite on this one this week, Bob, because I do think we're close to breaking out, and um, I think it's more than close. I think this is the week because
we may do it.
I think the Kentucky defense is going to sell out to stop the run. I think Nico's going to hit some shots, and when he does, I think they're going to open that defense up, and then Dylan takes over. Dylan and company take over.
What do you think the score's going to be?
Well, I think we're going to cover our 16 tonight.
Right.
I'm going to go 41-12.
Okay. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go 31-3. I just don't think they're getting into. I mean, without a special teams, without multiple trips in the red zone, and I think they kick a field goal, and I think later in the game they get in our red zone again, and they have to score a touchdown to get back in this game, and they just go for it on fourth and don't make it.
Yeah.
So that's what we'll go with. Then we'll go 31-3.
No, good deal then, Bob.
Go ahead and
Go ahead and put your children's education fund.
Yeah.
Double it this week. Right there, triple
Right.
it. Whatever you got to do.
I mean, you can book it. I mean,
Yeah.
don't-
I wouldn't put more than a pack of Mountain Dews on
Yeah.
any of my picks right now.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I've done pretty good here lately, but I mean, what's good in the betting world? You know, I mean, it's not 100%, that's for sure. But all right, guys, I think that's it for the episode. And remember, hit that like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell, and leave us a comment. Let us know what you think.
Give us your spreads. What do you
Yeah.
on
You
those three
got
games?
one? Make sure you throw one in there if you like something, because I'm all about somebody else's picks. You know.
Yeah, particularly if you're real good at it. Then
Yeah.
we'll watch you for 2 or 3 weeks, and we'll start betting on your stuff.
Yeah, and if you're not, don't post anything, please. All right. All right.
Guys, thanks a big bunch. Go Big Orange.
Go Balls.